Question number 4. Like other metals, iron is malleable and is a good conductor of electricity. Explain why iron is malleable. Okay, so this question is asking you to explain the bonding in a metallic bonding and to explain how that accounts for the property of a metal, i.e. the malleability. So you have to describe the bonding and how that accounts for the malleability. Okay. So you say there are layers of positive ions, and that's the first point. You can use the word sheets, planes, rows, anything just to say that there are positive ions arranged like that. The second point is to say they can slide past each other. So the layers of positive ions, one mark, slide past each other. And explain why iron is a good conductor. So this links to the other part of the description of a metal, and that is that metals have delocalized electrons. You can also use the expression a sea of electrons. So that will give you 1 mark, and the second mark is for saying why that makes it a good conductor. Okay, so that makes it a good conductor because those electrons can flow or can move through the structure. So move or flow through the structure. So move or flow through the structure. So the second part of the question now, part B, is iron forms 2 sulfates. Okay, one has a formula of FeSO4 and the other has a formula of Fe2SO4. Okay, so straight away we're going to be asked a question about iron 2 and iron 3. Okay, and we need to remember our colours and how we test for iron 2 and iron 3. We're also probably going to be asked something about sulfates. So this is our salt, where we have a cation, which is positive, and an anion, which is negative. Okay, and we need to also identify the cation and identify the anion. Okay, so state what would be observed in each of the cases. So the addition of sodium hydroxide solution can be used to distinguish between the solutions. So FeSO4, so let's figure out, is that iron 2 or is that iron 3? So sulfate, SO4 2- has a charge of 2-. So because this is FeSO4, this means this must be iron 2. So this would say this is iron 3. Okay, so we've got iron 2 and iron 3. So you need to write down what would be observed in each case. So we need to learn this off and you need to remember it. No other way, only remembering it. So the iron 2 will give a green precipitate. And the iron 3 will give a brown precipitate. Okay. So the next question is to write a chemical equation for the reaction of iron 2 sulfate with sodium hydroxide solution. Okay, so you're given your products here, or so you're given your reactants here, so that's FeSO4 plus NaOH, and you need to say what the products are. So the products of our reaction are the iron hydroxide, so that's an iron 2 hydroxide, so Fe2 plus, and O2-, so that's FeOH twice. That's responsible for the green precipitate, the iron hydroxide. The brown precipitate is the iron 3 hydroxide in the previous question. So we've got our iron hydroxide, which is the precipitate, and then what are our spectator ions, or what's left over? We've got a sulfate left over, and we've got a sodium left over, so it's a sodium sulfate, and that is Na2SO4 because sulfate's 2-, and sodium is +1. Now the next thing is we need to balance the equation. So in order to balance the equation, we've got 2 sodiums here, we need a 2 here, and that is also responsible for our 2 hydroxides, and that equation is now balanced. So 1 for having all the correct formula and 2 for having the correct balancing.